Hey, Nickie Brown here. No matter where you are, and no matter what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a delightful day. I want to say this, right? I commend anyone who stays in an abusive relationship. I couldn't do it. I'm not built like that. Hey, Nickie Brown here. No matter where you are, no matter what part of the world you're in, I hope that you are having a delightful day. So, I wanted to talk about being in an abusive relationship. Now, I know once people get married, they feel as if they're obligated to stay. But actually, the Bible doesn't condone abuse in a relationship. And it was not condemn the person who is leaving to seek safety. But a lot of people don't understand that. Most people pick what they want from the Bible and adjust it according to what they want to do or not do in their life, right? Most people don't actually know how to read the Bible because you're not supposed to read it literally because it's not literal, right? It's full of parables. It's full of life lessons. You're supposed to learn from these things in the Bible and use them to guide your life, right? There are lessons that are teaching you how you should show up in the world and how you should not show up in the world, right? And we've come a long way from where we used to be. You know, we used to be a society that thrived on community. Now we thrive on individualism. And so, again, I applaud any man or woman who can stay in an abusive relationship because it's not easy. And everybody has their different reasons for staying. Some people stay because they feel like, well, at least I know where this person is and I can adjust accordingly to do my best not to trigger this person. And so in essence, it basically gives them a sense of control. You also have people who obviously stay because they have children. That's a big one. That's something that I actually did. So I tell people that my son has a father and a daddy, right? So when my son was 4 years old, I met a gentleman at the time. And although I didn't intend for it to happen, they bonded. They bonded over video games, so they got really close. Although he wasn't necessarily good for me, he was great for my son. And it's not that I couldn't break that relationship up. Like when I attempted to end the relationship, my son cried. Oh my goodness, it hurt my heart so bad. He cried hysterically for like a couple days. And I was like, I just couldn't do it. So I ended up going back to the relationship. Although again, it was toxic for me. Like when I started to gain weight, he would poke me in my stomach and tell me that I was getting fat. He told me I was stupid for having a baby. When I cut my hair off because I wanted, to cut the chemicals out of my hair so that I would just embrace my natural texture, because for me, it was hard to transition between the relaxed and the natural hair. And a lot of people braid or twist it, but I didn't feel like doing that every day. So I just cut my hair off down to the new growth. He said I was ugly when I cut my hair off, right? So just little things like that. And then if I said anything about it, it would be like, oh, well, you shouldn't let anybody lower your self-esteem anyway. You are absolutely right. This is narcissism, right? Narcissism at its best. And so this is emotional and mental abuse and even a verbal abuse from this particular person. Never physical. And financial abuse. There was some financial abuse in that relationship as well. And it's challenging to find the right partner, right? Someone that you have a connection with, and somebody that you're compatible with. When you're not compatible with a person, it just makes it more challenging to be in that relationship. Either that or somebody has to not be themselves, right? They have to just adapt to that other person, which a lot of times women end up doing. They just adjust to whatever the man is doing or wants to do. And if you have your own personality, you can't be contained in a box. And in that particular relationship, he wanted me to be contained in a box instead of being a supportive spouse, because I have a very big energy. You can't put me in a box. You can't control me. You can work with me though. Right? And I gave myself up, right? Like, I lost myself in that relationship. You know, cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, making his lunch, doing all these different things. And he was putting in effort too. And I know for some, you know, for a lot of times for men, they feel like if they invest in you financially, then that's good enough. Like, that's all they should have to do is invest financially. You know, but when it came to communication, if we were having issues and I wanted to talk through them, he would completely shut down. Like, I don't want to talk about that. We can talk about that another day. And another day never came. And then if I brought it up the next day, because this is still something on my mind and I feel like we need to work through it, and the way that we work through it is through communication. Then it would turn into an argument because I wanted to talk through the situation, whatever it may have been. I can't even think of a specific example. And then like, I'm not even going to go into all of the things, but basically, again, some people can handle the abuse. You know, when I told my grandmother about, you know, some of the things that happened in that relationship, she was like, oh, well, you can't just stay. No. Why would you even ask me that? If I could stay, I would have stayed. But that's that old school mentality. A lot of people think it's just foreigners, right? People from the islands or people from Africa. No. That is a mindset that has always existed, even in the United States. It's just that now we're very far removed from it. But those are just old-fashioned morals and values. A lot of people learn them. Again, they just don't implement them now in 2025. We're like Sodom and Gomorrah in 2025 out in these streets. Yes, there are some people who have great, happy, healthy marriages. And there are some people who don't. And again, everybody protects themselves in a different way. And I'm just not built like that. Again, everybody's different and everybody's level of tolerance is different. Some people just want to stay in a relationship. Some people feel like if the relationship ends that they'll look like a failure to their family or friends, or they'll be judged and criticized by their family and friends. And I get it. I totally understand it. Again, I just can't place myself in that situation and stay. You know, coming to work, like, it's so sad when I see women who come to work. You can clearly see that they have a black eye. And they're covering it up with makeup. You can clearly see the black eye. The makeup is not hiding it, baby. We can see it. We can still see the black eye. And even if, you know, and even the swelling, like you can't hide it. And it's so, like, that is so sad. But these women feel obligated to stay, or these men feel obligated to, because there are men who are being abused too. And it's like we always not always, but a lot of people pick the wrong person. Like a lot of times, men will pick a woman that they shouldn't be with. And sometimes I say, maybe the woman that you should have been with is flat-chested and doesn't have a big behind. You know what I mean? Maybe she has small breasts and a small behind. Just a handful of titty and a handful of ass. Just enough to cup it. But honestly, she may not be built, the way that you want her to be built. But she may be the right person for you. And vice versa for a woman. He may not have the money that you think he should have, or the looks that you think he should have, or even the body that you think he should have. And I'm gonna just put that out there. I'm very health conscious, so I want my man to be healthy. So even if, he has a little weight on him, I would at least like for him to be open-minded to start, eating healthy and exercising so that he can live a long time. If we're just getting together and, I'm already 50. So if we're of a certain age, I would like for us to be together healthy as long as possible. Yes, accidents and things happen, but all things considered, we could live another 50, 75 years. That is a thing. That is definitely a thing, to live to be over 100 years old. Some people don't want to, and some people do. I think it's an honor to live to be over 100 years old. And the earth gives us everything that we need to make that happen. So again, people pick and choose what they want from the Bible, but Genesis tells us the earth has everything that you need for food and medicine. That means anything that grows from a tree or from the ground. Anything else is artificial. It's processed. It's man-made. When you go into a grocery store, you should typically stay on the outskirts of the grocery store. A lot of people are lactose intolerant, and, we really shouldn't be doing dairy. There's a lot of non-dairy options available now. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I applaud and commend those men and women who can stay in relationships that do not honor them, that do not respect them, do not appreciate them, and do not love them the way that they should be loved. And I'm sending you that love now. And I'm willfully, things get better for you, or that you're at least able to cope in a way that's healthy. And again, for whatever your reason is for staying in that relationship, I applaud you. I know that I couldn't do it. I'm not that strong. I'm not that person. I'm too kind-hearted to allow myself to be in an abusive relationship. And it's not easy. You have to actually, strategize. You can't always just walk away quickly. I had to, make a plan or strategy. I don't like to say plan because you could plan to fail, but I had to create a strategy in order to get out of the toxic situations that I was in. And people don't understand how I still have joy despite all the things that I've been through and despite the things that people have tried to do to me. Or I should say the experiences that I've had. I've experienced a lot in terms of people trying to sabotage me or provoke me or belittle me or shame me or make me feel guilty. I'm aware of what these people are doing. And so I'm not going to fall for the schemes and the scams, honey. We're not falling for the schemes and the scams. We're not doing that. I don't know what this means. I forgot. I think somebody told me what this means. I don't know why the young people do this, but whatever. So, so yeah. I am a certified life coach, so I do help people with processing their emotions. I also am a certified anger management specialist. So again, I can help process those emotions and help you achieve goals, right? So the purpose of a life coach is to help you get through the reasons why you're procrastinating, or the reasons why you feel like you're not moving forward, whatever. You're standing in your own way for some reason. And so maybe you want to accomplish a goal. It could be to write a book. It could be to start a business. It could be to lose weight. It could be to stop smoking. Whatever that is for you, you know, I could help you walk through those things and get on a better page. And sometimes it takes a few sessions to make that happen. And you could always just reach out to me, inbox me if you would like. Also, if you were abused as a child or even as a young adult and you have a lot of trauma, you should seek a professional like a psychotherapist, not a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is typically going to just give you a prescription. You need a psychologist that specializes in trauma. A lot of people had trauma. If you were touched as a child, whether you are a male or a female, you have trauma inside of your body that you probably never addressed, and you're holding on to it. And as you age, these things turn to disease in the body. Right? If you had, if you were abandoned, neglected, people went through different, there are people who have random burns on their body and they have no idea where they came from. You need to see a psychotherapist because it probably happened when you were a child. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, there's something there, right? And that trauma needs to be addressed. And a lot of times people say, oh, well, I'm okay. And they're not. They don't even realize. A lot of people don't realize they're not okay. You're not okay. And it's okay to acknowledge that you're not okay. It's okay to get help when you're not okay. If you find yourself struggling to keep a relationship and you actually want one, because there are people who don't want a relationship right now. There are people who are working on themselves, whether that be mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. There are people who are like, no, I don't want a relationship right now. There are also people like, oh, I seem to pick the wrong partner, so I don't trust myself to pick somebody, so I'm just going to fall back for now. And work on something else, do something else, work on being happy, traveling and enjoying life. And then maybe I'll meet somebody that way. So everybody's on a different page. Everybody's on a different level, however you want to look at it, page or level. And, but we all could stand to be better people, right? I know some people thrive off of being toxic and teasing other people or shaming other people or, feeling superior to other people. And that's a horrible mindset to have. It's very ungodly and very unrighteous. And for those who are not religious, and I'm not religious, I'm very spiritual. But sometimes these attitudes come from religious people, right? How could you say you pick up the Bible? I think mine is across the room. How could you pick up the Bible and actually judge someone, criticize someone, be vindictive, spiteful, and petty towards someone? You better get out my face with that Bible, talking crazy, and you're not even living righteously as you should. The Bible is a guidance of how you should be living, the righteous things that you should be doing. And a lot of people aren't doing that. better people. Some people want to be better people. Some people just say they want to be better people because it sounds good. But they don't actually want to be better people. I feel like I should be using this microphone as a prop at this point. Anyway, I didn't even intend for this video to be this long. Again, the point is, I definitely applaud those who can stay in a relationship. And you know, when you want to work, if you're at the point where you want to work through it, like, both people have to be willing to work at whatever needs to be worked on. And that's one of the things that I've found in my past relationships. There was resistance there. You know, my partners didn't want to work on a relationship. They just wanted me to accept them for who they were, the way that they were, and just be quiet about it. And I'm not that person. But some people do that. Again, whether it's male or female, because in some relationships, the woman is more dominant, not dominant. In some relationships, the male is more dominant. Everybody's relationship dynamic is different. There are relationships where the man cooks, and there are relationships where the woman cooks. I know my son's grandfather, he cooked. His grandmother never cooked. I think maybe in all the years that I've known her, maybe she cooked twice, and it was always on a holiday. And it wasn't like she cooked a whole meal. Like, she might have made rice. I'm not trying to be funny, but like, he would make the main dishes and she might make, you know, 1 or 2 side dishes. Like, it wasn't like she was really doing like the most, you know, like the turkey, the ham. Like, she wasn't doing all that. She was like, make a couple side dishes and that would be it. But that was their relationship dynamic, and it worked. And it works like that for a lot of people. But that was like the first time I ever see that. I was like, he cooks? Like, that was kind of strange because I was 16 at the time. So that was like my first time being exposed to that. Like, what? Because, you know, I was raised that, you know, a woman is supposed to do that. But that's not necessarily true. Like, you have to find that right person that's right for you, right? And y'all have to figure out what works for y'all together. Like, I know another couple who, he hates to clean. So he would rather cook so she can clean. And vice versa. Sometimes the woman will cook and the man will clean. You know, you have to work them because nobody, you know, it shouldn't be just one-sided. Every relationship is supposed to have reciprocity. It's equal give and take. But what does that equal give and take look like? Like, this same relationship, he doesn't like to take the trash out. Never heard that before, right? Always heard, oh, that's what a man's supposed to do. But again, everybody's relationship dynamic is different. I hate taking the trash out too. So he probably wouldn't be the type of person that I would want to be in a relationship with. Like, you know, and not to say that that would be a deal breaker, but what I'm saying is, if the person that I'm talking to, if we can't figure that out, like, how can we make this work together? What will your roles and responsibilities be, and what will mine be? Sometimes they might be traditional, and sometimes they may be untraditional. It kind of doesn't matter to me as long as we're working together. It could be I cook 3 days out the week and he cooks 3 days, and then we eat out the 7th day. Or he cooks 7 days and I clean. Or I cook and he clean. Whatever that look, you know. But you have to be on the same page, ready, willing, and able to do the work. And that's what it is. A lot of people aren't really willing to do the work. I remember I used to tell this to one of my former friends all the time, like, relationships are work. And she was like, no, they're not. Like, they're supposed to be easy. And she didn't get it for years and years and years. And then finally one day it clicked. Relationships are work. The work could be easy, or the work could be challenging. Either way, it's work. You have to make a conscious effort. If this person says they don't like something, and it's something that, let's just say, for example, closing the bathroom door. right? If you're the type of person, you leave the bathroom door open, maybe you've lived by yourself for a long time, so, you don't think anything of it. You just leave the bathroom door open. And this person is OCD about keeping the bathroom door closed. You have to make an effort to close the bathroom door. Because your mind is not programmed to close the bathroom door. You're used to leaving the door open. But that person has to be understanding and know that you're not intentionally leaving the door. Now, if you're intentionally doing it to be a butthole, that's another story. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you honestly forgot because it's not something that you're used to doing. And so this person needs to extend you some grace. And maybe even make a joke out of it. Like, oh boy, here we go. We got pee and poop flying out the door now. It can't turn into an argument though. Even if, let's say, for example, the toilet seat being left up. Again, that may not be something, if this man lived by himself for a long time and his mom didn't teach him, you always put the toilet seat down. If he didn't have a wife who said, this is what needs to be done. If he didn't have a daughter, sister, whatever. Or again, same scenario. Maybe he lived by himself for a really long time, so he just got out of the habit of doing it. But it may not be intentional. And no, it feels very uncomfortable to sit in this water. I get it. But again, it may not be intentional. So that means that maybe your mindset has to shift, that you definitely have to look before you sit. And also extending some grace. Like, dang, But you got to... I did my best not to fall in. I have fallen in the toilet once, maybe once or twice, but after that once or twice, I started looking. So I'm in the habit of looking now. Even at my own house. So, because you never know. Something might be in the toilet or, on the seat. So, relationships are work. Some people are ready, willing, and able to put in the work, and some people are not. And if you're with someone who is not willing to put in the work and you decide to stay, you have to make peace with it. You have to be okay with whatever decision you make. If you're in a relationship and you have children, focus more on, having a good relationship with your children. Go out with your children. Read with your children. Go on walks through the neighborhood with your children. Buy a coloring book and color with your children. Sit on the floor. Act like a big kid. Kill your spouse with kindness. If they don't like the kindness, adjust accordingly. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Sometimes you can make them turn the page and want to do, be a better person. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes that person just needs to get help. And if they don't seek that help on their own, then they're just not going to change. And you just have to accept them for who they are, the way that they are. And again, adjust accordingly. And some people are very good at doing that. Some people could use some help with doing that. And some people just decide to remove themselves completely from the situation. Well, whichever one you decide to do, as always, I wish you all the best. And as always, I love y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Mwah.